Welcome back for another episode of the Chamber Podcast. My name is Rob Johnson. We have a very exciting episode for you today. 1949 is the year that I want you to think about. In 1949, Kenneth Wilson founded Wilson Marine here in Brighton, Michigan. And joining me in the studio today is the legacy of that company. We have Ron, Greg, and Brad. Welcome, gentlemen.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Ron, I want to start with you. So, your dad founded the company in 1949, and obviously you've taken the reins, so to speak. And Wilson Marine is now in a position where it's 5 locations. It's a boating powerhouse in Southeast Michigan. I want to just start with a brief introduction for the people that are listening. Just walk us through a brief company history of where it started and how you got to where you are right now.
Well, thanks for asking. It started in 1949 on the corner of Hughes Road and Grand River, and my dad worked at the GM Proving Grounds at night and decided that it would be a good idea with all of the lakes to get into the boat business. But they didn't really have manufacturers, so you bought kits, and he rented trailers, and he worked on outboard motors, and he built wood boats. As we got into the 50s, which is a very explosive time in boating, companies like Sea Ray came into play with Connie Ray, and you've got Bayliner came on the line, and a lot of the big manufacturers were developed and launched in the 50s. So it was an explosive time, and also explosive time for boat dealers. Livingston County or Brighton Howell had 5 of them at one time back in the 50s. They were on every street corner. And but he did the heavy lifting, dug worms, sold worms, really did a wonderful job for us. And then as we got into the 60s, we got into other things like snowmobiles. We got into tractors. We used to build neon signs. So it wasn't just the boat business, because out here, Livingston County was a little different than it is today. It was cottage. People would leave in Labor Day, and they wouldn't come back until Memorial Day. So when you would talk to people about Brighton, the only thing they remember was the canopy. And so, when you told people where you were, you would use the canopy as a focus point. But as a result of this cottage business, more and more people started to figure Livingston County out, and they started moving their families out. And of course, we get into the 60s, late 60s, there was a big push out here, as we know. And that's where we really started getting some traction. We started growing. We added my dad had the foresight. He was still alive, and we added the first of our showrooms. And it was unheard of in the marine industry to have more than 2 boats inside. You were forced to go outside. Most of them were rowboats anyway. So, but we had the forethought to have 6,000 square feet of showroom. That's where we really started seeing some traction. He also understood the value of service. He was really a bright guy. He really understood that anybody could buy a boat, few could fix them, and his mechanical background really lended itself to him investing heavily in a service entity. And so we operate today in our Brighton complex, one of the largest service complexes in the United States. So. And we have service complexes in every one of the dealerships. So we really took what he started with a service stronghold and continued to go forward. And of course, that was one of the keys to our success, is just doing what people expect. And that's selling them something and then standing behind it after the sale.
So where do you guys stand now in terms of a product selling and distribution standpoint? What are the main things people come to Wilson for today?
Well, fortunately, life is short, boats are cool. So they come to us for everything, all right? You name it. We still are one of the few dealers that sell from paddle boats to motor yachts. We have a full parts and service and accessory stores. So you're not having to travel around. You can come to any one of the Wilson Marine locations and deal with people you know, like, and trust, and buy the things you need to be able to have a successful day on a lake.
One thing that struck me as you were talking is when your dad started in 1949, obviously manufacturing there was limits in what was being produced, right? In the 50s, there was this huge tidal wave, so to speak, of manufacturers entering into the marketplace. And then you said in the 60s, you guys branched out into tractors and snowmobiles and neon signs. What was the reasoning behind diversifying the product line like that? Was it just an opportunity play, or I'm really curious as to why it expanded into that area?
I think my dad was a strong entrepreneur, and he saw people moving out here, and he saw that there was voids in certain areas like garden tractors. All of a sudden, these people started building homes, and there wasn't any lawn services. Right?
There was no Home Depot in Brighton.
So, he would fill a niche. And,
that's awesome.
I think that along with that, we learned a lot. And we carried some of that same thinking forward. We bought a little boat manufacturing company one time. We manufactured dinghies and canoes and paddle boats, and so we also have kind of branched off. Now, our core business is always and will be the coolest thing on earth, which is boats. We are so lucky. You have to go to work, we get to play every day. Right? So every day we go to work, we got a toy box we can open up and we can play with toys. But at the end of the line, I think people in Livingston County and the counties that we are involved in understood that the boat really was a way to bring the family together. We see the families coming in as a unit because they can enjoy so many different things. They can go boating, they can go fishing, they can go swimming. Right? Unlike some other sports like golf where the husband may go or the wife may go over there and the kids are playing video games. Boats aren't like that. It's a team sport. So that's why it became so popular during COVID, and it still is today.
At what point in your dad's start of the business did you become infused in the company? So I'm sure you grew up on the showroom floor, so to speak, but at what point did you feel like, all right, now I'm a major contributing partner of this company?
I tried college.
Was it the Steve Jobs one semester? This was not for me type thing.
It was a year and a half. And it was not everything I expected. I was learning more. I went to a place in Lansing Business University, and I learned more working with my dad than I was really gleaning out of the school. So, it was a 72, 73, and the economical times were different, and I needed to make money. I was there. I needed to go. So, I got out of school and got in and started learning the back end of the business first. I started learning turning a wrench. How did it all work? I wasn't that guy in high school, right? I didn't go to auto shop. I didn't do any of that. So I had to start from ground zero and learn how to fix things. And it was a valuable upbringing. Today, we have one of the nicest collections of technical minds in all of the marine industry in our dealerships because of the focus on service. We pay our people well, we train them well, and we're about to launch something with Michigan Works, which is an in-house training program coupled with Yamaha in the state of Michigan. So we can bring people off the street and train them to play with toys.
That's very serendipitous. Michigan Works was actually the last guest we had
No kidding.
on this podcast. Yeah, absolutely. And they talked about how much they enjoy helping companies get training programs up and running. That was a good show. So Greg, I want to move over to you for a minute. So when do you come into view of this story here and start working and breathing Wilson Marine?
So I'm the youngest, so it took me a little bit longer to kind of get into the industry, but it's probably about 2009, 10 is kind of when I kind of came on full time. Now I worked when I was, a kid, just doing, odd jobs, really just mowing the grass, sweeping up the parking lot, stuff like that. And then 2009, 2010 is when I kind of came on full time just as a salesperson. I worked for sales for 4 or 5 years maybe. And I moved up to a sales manager position, and I was there for a long time. And then right at the tail end of COVID, I transferred over to be one of our service managers. And it's been a great learning curve for me to just move over from sales to service. But it's also a unique perspective because a lot of people over in the service world don't have that side of sales that I have, so I can kind of look at things a little bit differently, and I can see things more of along the ways of what the salespeople are actually telling the customers, so I can kind of translate a little bit better. So it's been pretty good. It's been a learning experience, but it's been fun for sure.
Good. So Brad, over to you. When you were a kid, was this always what you wanted to do, watching your dad be in the industry? Is it like, this is what I'm going to do? Was it that sealed, or was it something you decided to go into when you were older?
It didn't look super glamorous working 7 days a week and late nights. So no, it wasn't my life's aspirations. But like my dad, I graduated from Western in 2001, and I was thinking about going to the outside world, but realized that I had an excellent opportunity within the family business to kind of learn. And I had to start from ground zero, so worked my way up and do just about every job I could and learn that way. So I got the book smarts and then had to go through the school of hard knocks, so to speak. And it's still a work in process. But yeah, that was kind of my life's journey.
Very good. So Ron, was it in your mind, they're not going to have an easy path to get this as they're moving through the company, or what was that like having your sons in your business with you?
First of all, I had an opportunity to enjoy that. So many guys that own businesses can't see their family every day. We have enough building. If they don't want to see me, I don't want to see them. We don't have to.
5 locations, spread out.
Spread out. But at the end of the line, it's nice having your family understand your business and be able to take it to the next generation. I believe that the Wilsons are, both boys and myself, grew up competitive, and the marine industry is one that excels with people that understand good customer service and fair play and competitive play.
What does the landscape of the business look like right now? We're recording this. It's June of 2024, going into summer, which I imagine is somewhat busy for you guys. So what is that? What is the landscape of the business like today?
What do we see? It's not as robust as we saw a couple years ago during COVID. I think that was a bubble that a lot of businesses enjoyed that was not really a true indicator of what their industry was going to do. I believe we've had some interest rate issues. I think people are adjusting to them, so we're seeing more people come into the showroom floor, and we're very similar to farmers. We are so weather driven. You get a week of hot weather. Oh wow! You can see the spike. You can see some cold weather causing some slowdowns. But fortunately, with our footprint and where we're located is close to the lakes, and 75 years, we're kind of a name that people are going. If they're going to look for a boat, we're going to get a shot at them.
Very good. And so, Brad, looking at things from the marketing side of the table, and obviously there's a layer of sales there as well. What is one or two differentiators that you give people when you talk to them about what it's like to work with Wilson when they're looking for a boat?
My biggest thing is we have to make the process easy. One of the main pain points for a consumer looking in to purchase anything, whether it be a car or a boat, is just the anxiety that comes with not only dealing with a salesperson, but how do I pay for the boat? How do I take delivery of it? So my main message and my goal across all of our stores is let's make this process as easy as possible for the customer. So when they come into our showrooms, my dad's a big proponent of circus type atmospheres. So we'll have popcorn, slushies, games for the kids, everything's set up to try to make that process as easy as possible and take that anxiety away from the customer, because we're looking at the customers are coming in to have fun, and we want to provide that experience. So
excellent. And Greg, on the service side, one of the hallmarks of every business ought to be service. People say it, but can they back it up? So obviously Wilson, you guys have a fantastic reputation, been around 75 years. How do you continue maintaining that service record and legacy as time goes on?
Well, I think step one would just be our endless pursuit of training. We always try to train our guys. We send guys to school. We probably send 5 or 6 guys to school in every single year. So that's step one. And then step 2 would be just monitoring exactly what work is getting out to our technicians so we can make sure that the correct work is being done. I think that would be our biggest thing. But I think in order to grow a little bit more, we do have to continue to train and make sure that people are ready to go.
Very good. Now, Ron, one of the most difficult things a business owner faces is legacy. And the more generations to a business, the higher the failure rate, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the 3rd generation business failure rate's like something like 90%, right? And you guys have seemingly cracked a code where you continue to grow, you continue to expand, and you evolve with the market. As the person who's been sitting in the CEO chair and been with the company for 55 years, as you told me in the pre-show, how have you secured the legacy for Wilson, and how do you guys continue beating the odds?
We're a very frugal company. We're very well capitalized. The boys have had their entire life watching how we grew and ran the business. They saw the successes and they saw the failures. So they've had a front row seat on how to take the business into the next generation. And they'll succeed. A lot of family businesses maybe have a failure rate because they didn't ask enough out of their family members. These guys know how to run this business, and they'll do fine. And our customers will be extremely happy with the next generation taking over.
Yeah, well, it sounds like right now the next generation is
It's
the
taking
one
over.
buying the boats and doing the service. So it sounds like that ship has already sailed, if you'll excuse that pun. But it sounds like you've done a really good job of ensuring that the next generation that's taking over is well prepared. If someone is an entrepreneur and they're trying to make a legacy step, trying to put something in place that'll outlast themselves, what advice would you give them?
I think thinking is the hardest part of the job. It's so easy to get into actions. Thinking is the hardest part. And so guys that want to get into business, they learned what to do, spray cars, or they fix cars, or they landscaped. But coming back and taking your way from just the physical part of it and trying to look at the future, put on the vision goggles. Where does it go? How do we do this? Where's the next step? Is the hardest thing any entrepreneur will have. How do you see the future? And I think it was Henry Ford said, thinking is the hardest thing you'll ever have to do. And that's true. It's just too easy to not think. People spend more time planning their vacation than when they're going to go in their job.
I love that. So, boys, as we look to close here, I want to go around the horn, and I want you to give me one word that you feel embodies Wilson and the legacy that you guys have established. So we'll start on my right, and we'll go around the horn.
I'd say family, to be honest. I think it's not just us. I mean, we have several people there who've been with us for 20, 25 years, so it's not just us. It's a whole collection of people that make everything work.
Very good. Brad?
Fun would be an easy one that just pops to mind. Hard work, and it's another thing. Greg brought up our employee base, which is large and loyal. I mean, we're very fortunate to have the people that we have. And at the end of the day, we're selling fun, and we like to have fun in business too. So I would say fun.
Very good. Ron?
We do so many cool things. We just built the Barbie boat. All right. We have built the Aladdin's lamp boat. We've got 2 bat boats. Our people not only do what they do very well, but we play around with some of the coolest concepts in the marine industry. And we've been known for, we've cut boats in half. We've whirled boats upside down. We do things. And that's why a lot of our people stay with us. So it's looking at the future. It's just embracing what is possible. And our people if we say we want to cut a boat in half, it's amazing what we can do. Or we want to build the Barbie boat. If you see the Barbie boat, you'd say, oh my gosh, look at this. This is so cool. and we loaned it to the trade association for the Cobo Hall Boat Show. And it was just a huge hit. Sits in one of our showrooms now. But from idea to execution, it was all done in-house. And it was all done in about 3 weeks. And that's where it becomes fun. So I think which one of the boys said fun? It's fun.
I love it. Well, guys, thank you so much for your time. I certainly appreciate you walking me through the history. We'll call that an abbreviated version. That's the Reader's Digest version of the company history, I think. But I appreciate you guys for taking the time today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Very good. All right, everyone. That's going to wrap up this week's edition of the Chamber Podcast. You can find all of the information for Wilson Marine in the show notes, including their website and social media links. That's it for this week. We'll catch you on the next one. Take care.